Hello and welcome to 2023's first episode of GoodCast, a podcast produced by Goodwill, North Central Texas. It's a show where we take a closer look at the story behind the store and highlight the successes made possible thanks to the generous donations of everyday people. Today we've got a very fun interview in store. We'll be talking with Goodwill NCT's Achiever of the Year for 2022, Terry Baker. The Achiever of the Year award recognizes a participant of workforce development who has shown significant progress and accomplishment overcoming barriers to their employment. Without further ado, let's get into it.
My name is Terry Baker. I'm currently a CDL instructor for Goodwill.
How long have you been a CDL instructor?
Well, relatively, that's a short. I just transitioned from being a driver until, I want to say July of last year. Mm-hmm. Maybe a little earlier. I'm not certain because it was a little in between, but yeah, somewhere around July.
Okay, gotcha. What were you doing before you came to Goodwill?
Well, I used to be a maintenance worker for this apartment complex that I lived in, that I also did leasing agent. So I was just learning a few things as I, got a little older and started putting my foot into different doors, trying to see how can I grow. And I used to date a young lady. She was a truck driver. She had over 20 years experience. And she would say, you should try this, because I was looking for something different.
Right.
So she told me about Goodwill, and I came to Goodwill, and I got funded, and I started going to school here. I really liked it. I really liked what Goodwill stood for in terms of helping people and giving back, you know what I mean? Because I wasn't able to find the work that I was looking for. I had sort of a kind of a history in which, you know what I mean? And it reflected on me from time to time. But Goodwill offered me an opportunity. I loved it. I like what they stood for. And I said, if I ever get an opportunity, I'm come back, I'm going to like to pay it forward. When I was young, I used to make a lot of bad choices, bad decisions. So it's been a product of my environment. I became incarcerated. I had a record. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? But it was years ago. But, you know what I mean? It was just the fact that I never did get positioned or learn a trade that I wanted so I can, flourish and become a productive citizen. Because at that point,
it sticks with you, and it's something that employers, notice no matter how long it's been. There's like a stigma.
Just like when you go for renting, you got a history of rental and they see it. You know what I mean? Even though you say you're not going to hold it against me, a lot of time it was. Gotcha. That was the case.
So you said you worked in maintenance. Have you always liked working with your hands, like that sort of
To some degree. Okay. And prior to that, I used to be a barber. Uh-huh. And I love, being in barber settings or beauty salon settings of that nature. So, yeah, I pretty much work with my hands more or less.
Okay, I could see that. I could see you as a barber just because you're very good at like starting a conversation with folks.
Okay, engaging. Yeah, I like that. People person. I hear that a lot. Yes.
Okay. So was CDL one of the things that you considered after having that conversation with your friend, or were there a couple different things you wanted?
It was a couple of different things because I was being boggled down and I couldn't get the income that I was looking for. Mm-hmm. So when she told me what she made annually, and she said, you ought to consider it. I said, well, okay then. There you go. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So once I got a taste of it and said, yeah, I would really like to go somewhere and be productive. But then I went over the road and it wasn't what I anticipated at that particular point. But I used to always hear back, you're really good with people. Why don't you take instructing? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you're still in the same line of work. You know what I mean? So, yes.
So what was your experience like as a student in NTI?
I really enjoyed it. It was informative. I kind of was biased because I didn't take to it well initially. I was an older guy learning something new. So I didn't adjust well. Then I seen all the younger people flourishing and just winning and happy, and I was really stressing myself because I had never learned how to drive a manual car in my life, and I was in my 50s when I got this.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it was a transition that I welcomed, but I had to fight. I had to really dig down, and everything that goes on in life outside of the school, I had to really just put my ears and close my ears to and just really focus on learning straight. And I'm gladly that I did. I took the time out for it.
Yeah, I put together the pre-trip video that they showed.
Yes.
It's a lot. It's a lot to take in.
You know what? I was part of that pre-trip, but I could never find myself ever again in it. It was just a short clip. But yeah, I was a part of that. Okay. I remember, that's when we first met. Yes.
So you went through the 7-week program.
Correct.
How soon did you test after you graduated the program?
So it wasn't long. It was a relatively short period at the time. Maybe my 8th month. You know what I mean? My 8th week as opposed to the 7 weeks.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Because, after a while, when you test it, everybody else got to get a chance at testing too as well. So when the scheduling part might have pushed me over past the 8 weeks.
Right.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. I know some people, because they've talked about, building a testing center at campus.
Man,
so
that would
so that's a lot faster, because I know the wait times.
I want to be a part of that. Let me know if I could. Wow, is this a job interview? No.
I don't know. I think that's a Ronaldo question.
Stop. Okay, there you go.
So how did it feel when you finally passed and you got your...
It was like a weight off my shoulder. It was like it opened me up to a new horizon. It broadened my, not only economically, you know what I mean, but my living arrangements changed. I went from couldn't get an apartment, and since I've been at Goodwill, I was able to afford purchasing me a home. My credit was messed up, everything. So with this being staying at this late age, it's coming into, you know what I mean?
Right.
And I'm reaping, and it's good. I'm humbled by it, grateful for it. And, I knock on wood sometime my head, let them know I'm pointing to my head. I should have done this earlier. But I didn't have the foresight to see it. Didn't believe in it. Didn't understand the process. It was alienated to me. I've been, like I said, a product of my environment in which I was accustomed to making bad decisions, bad choices. I didn't believe that, I would be afforded the opportunity to learn something that I can be productive. I really enjoyed it.
So I know that, after people graduate, they tend to get hired on pretty quick. Did you see yourself working with Goodwill, or were you gonna kind of play the field and see?
No, I went over the road for a short period of time. Okay. But I used to always get called back from the prior instructors. Hey, if you're ever considering it, they liked the way I interacted when I was in school as a student. Right. They said, if you're ever interested, and it was just in the back of my mind, but it just kept on festering, kept on growing. It was like a mustard seed. Right. And then it gradually progressed into something. Okay, maybe I need to encounter this, maybe so I could see, the bigger picture of this whole trucking thing and learn this aspect of it. You know what I mean? So I got off the road and then got right into here. Yeah, and I've driven here for over 3 to 4 years, and then next the opportunity arose. And Justin, it was a calling. I didn't do this. I feel like it was divine intervention that stepped in and said, because somebody said to me, and I believe it was Miss Sonia. Miss Sonia said, hey, can I help you? I said, no, ma'am, I was waiting on a T-shirt or something, you know what I mean? Right. Like that. I said, no, ma'am, I'm waiting. She said, what program you at? I said, no, ma'am, I'm a CDL driver for Goodwill. And that's how I was afforded the opportunity to consider if I wanted to be an instructor. Right. Yeah. So what were some of the things you were doing as a driver for Goodwill? Pick up donations and take them to different sites, bring it to the warehouse, drop them, and load, unload. In the tractors, you drop and hook, or sometimes you have to wait for a live load or unload. And I also drove the box trucks as well, in which you would unload them yourself and then load up as well. Yeah. So you're interacting with a lot of the stores. Yeah, a lot of the stores, and gained a good rapport. You know what I mean? It's not like it. It's a good community. You know what I mean? Good community. Yeah. What do you like about teaching now that you're an instructor? Honestly, to see a student when they first start with no concept, no thing of it, and watch them as they progress, and then just they find that niche where they fit right in, that is so enriching, so rewarding for me. To knowing that in 7 weeks, they didn't believe it until they're up there testing and again go and get their license. I love that. And I love giving back, and I love engaging, like you say earlier. You know what I mean? I like to see, I like to see some growth and development, you know what I mean, the fellow man. That's all. Do you get to share your story with students? All the time. Literally. And the weird thing is, it's not weird. I address it like the lessons that I give in terms of how we structured this pre-trip and how we just trucking period. I apply it to life skills too as well. We got a saying that on this truck, everything has to be properly mounted and secure. And I find up telling people too, that's the same thing in life. When you walk outside your door, if you're not checking for leans, leaks, or puddles, that you have to inspect your vehicle. Same thing like that. When you walk outside this door, you're going to be subject to have to be pulled over, do something that you don't want to do. But if you take the time to pay attention to all the signs earlier on, you won't have to be worried about it down the road. Yeah.
So was this your first graduation as an instructor, like this most recent one that we had?
No, I had several.
Okay.
I had several prior to that. But this was my first graduation setting. But I had picked several people that passed, call me, always interact with me. I had some students up today that just came up and interact with the newer students right now.
Right.
Yeah, so no, it wasn't my first. But it was my first in participating in this graduation, especially in this new building.
Okay, so how does it feel seeing your students walk across the stage that we have?
Yeah, it's like a stamp of approval that you're doing something that's really contributing, you know what I mean? As opposed to, like I say, coming from where I'm coming from, being destructive, being angry, being just every deviant behavior more or less, and to see somebody just change their whole regards about how they want to do things, I find that very, empowering.
So tell me a little bit about when you found out about you getting Achiever of the Year. Where were you when you got that envelope?
Well, I got to say this first before I speak about that.
Sure.
Because when I got here, right, everybody was transitioning out. A lot of people weren't around. So, as far as instructors were concerned, so I was here basically, Justin, pretty much, not by myself, figuratively by myself, but Goodwill stood around me and welcomed me in and helped me with anything that I needed. So I was getting little accolades the whole while.
Okay.
You just been, this was just the icing on the cake. But I've been pulled over to say, hey, of this week, of that week, you really rooting for me. I see the Zoom calls. So I was getting, a clap on the back or applauded with every step of I've been doing it. So everything has been, you know what I mean?
Right.
Same thing more or less. And this was just humbling for me more so that as a collective, everybody said, hey, let's show this guy right here. And like I say, I'm here to do that. I'm here to pay it forward. I'm here to give back and to enrich some people's lives, empower, enlighten, and uplift. You know what I mean? So yeah, I'm with it, Justin.
All right.
Yeah, Goodwill.
And then, how did it feel accepting this award during the board staff luncheon?
Once again, humbling. You know what I mean? I couldn't think of, this was enriching. You know what I mean? This was my soul, it was like a light. I beamed with it. The recognition that you see, that you get from your counterparts. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. You know what I mean? Yeah.
And you said you keep contact with a lot of your students after they leave.
They come in and interact with the newer students, give back. They sometimes they group text amongst each other and include me and might want to say hello or send me a picture saying, hey, I'm in this state. Hey, I'm cross country over here. I'm up in the East. I'm up in California. Yeah, just to keep me, or they may ask me a question. I remember, Mr. Terry, how did I supposed to do this? And I can always get that back to them too as well.
All right. Do you think it's important to keep those ties?
Yes, I do. Yeah. I'm instrumental in helping them get ahead, and they're instrumental as well. Them giving back to me as well, let me know that this wasn't something just random.
Right.
Gotcha. Yeah.
As someone who's gone through the program, both as a student and now as an instructor, what are some things that you would like to see evolve in the coming years for NTI? What additions would you like to see in the classroom?
You hit off something right off the top, where in which you might become a person that you can learn how to test them right here on the site. That might be something, you know what I mean?
Right.
Anything that we can progress with, I'm open for, I'm ideally for, I'm here for. I believe in this program. I believe in the growth of it, even though sometimes it can be grassroots, because it's always evolving, always changing. Every year, either you're adding or you're subtracting, and I understand that process. So anything that will, be to our advantage, I welcome it. Sign me up. Yes.
So walk me through, how do you get someone through a rough patch if they're, there's something they're just not getting or they're feeling discouraged? during class? What do you say to them?
This is what I do. I provide opportunities for people who have a little bit more problems. I'm here earlier. Sometimes I don't take a lunch sometimes, or I use the lunch time where everybody else is going to say, hey, if you want to take back for a little bit, let's see. I have my number on the classroom board. If anybody want to get in contact, messaging, or I'm trying to learn how to Zoom. I haven't got it down yet, but I'm working on it. Then you can call me, or we can call each other. Let's use one another to help get us through a rough patch. Or, I say this, I convey it to them. We're only strong as our weakest link. And in this class, I try to get everybody in accordance with one another. Like if you ask me a question, we ask me, I will give you a response, and vice versa. That's how we show up and keep each other sharp. And sometimes you team them together, you switch them up. You know what I mean? And I used to come here on the weekends. And I still would give my weekends up from time to time. I love this job, what I'm doing. I love the fact that I'm allowed to do this and give this and help somebody who's having, because I didn't learn readily. So I want to give that back to somebody who can't, or not in a position, or don't know that part of getting there. You know what I mean? Yeah, I assist them. I'm here for them.
So you go with people to the DMV when they're ready to test?
Yes, sir.
Is that a you thing, or is that something that,
No, that's us thing. Okay. Because we have to get the truck there.
Okay.
Or we allow them to take the truck and get there. But the fact remains, though, you know what I mean? You do it for more support, too, just as well. Okay. And to get them out the angst. Okay. You know what I mean? Because it's a lot of anxiety when you go over there, because it's something totally different. It's a different animal. On the pad here on campus, as opposed to going to the DMV, you build a rapport, so you're not as anxious with me, or you're not as under the gun like you would be over there. You know what I mean? So you just try to prep them. Even the ride going from campus to there, you trying to dial them down, get them in a good situation where they comfortable when they go over there. Even though they got this lesson, and they relatively new, but it's still foreign. Right. Especially when somebody get ready to scrutinize you and test you in this regard.
Okay, gotcha. So your presence is helping them by, keeping a level head, all that good stuff, so that they can
encourage and support them, give them that pep talk. You can do it. You've done it.
What piece of advice would you give to someone who was in a similar situation to you? Weren't sure where to go with their life, or was looking for a fresh start.
You couldn't pick a better time to come to this NTI program. Trucking business is really flourishing. You can find your way. And there's so many opportunities for us right now that you need to take this. You should take it. You should want to take it. If everything else you're trying and you've hit a dead end, and I say, I'm also not just an instructor. Like I said, I'm an ex-student of here. I graduated from it. I always use me as a reference to tell them, I didn't have no idea where I was going. I was wandering around. Goodwill has provided me meaning. You know what I mean? Yeah, so I always tell them that. I use the story to me, you know what I mean? And just use me as a reference.
So what is your next goal? Are you hoping to one day have your own trucking business? Or?
I wouldn't mind. I'm looking forward to it. Okay. You know what I mean? First it was my credit. I've accomplished that. Then to find a place to stay, I accomplished that. Then I got me a house. I got a house working with Goodwill. Right. You know what I mean? So I'm coming along, and everything I pick up to say, this is what I want to do, my next goal, I'm accomplishing it. Yeah, so a trucking business, I wouldn't do that. But guess what, Justin? If I was in position to get a truck, I don't think I would leave this, because this is so ideal. And I get so much joy from this that even if I did, I still would want to do this. Yeah. This is how much, you know what I mean? I believe, you can say I'm embellishing or I'm overdoing it. No. This was ideal. I needed this, and this needed me too as well, I would like to think.
And I think when you have a place that, values you as a person, first and foremost, and is willing to work with you and support you, it establishes a pretty strong bond.
Correct. There you go.
So, it's really cool that you have found, your passion. And
there you go, man. And it's not a job. It's an adventure. Every day it's an adventure to me. And like I said, I'm first to hear. Sometimes I may be the last, because I want to be, you know what I mean? Everything for this job, and because it's provided me everything that I've been needing and wanting. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So my dad is a diesel mechanic. He's done it for pretty much my whole life. Right. Okay. My grandma, all barely 5 foot, was a truck driver for a little bit.
Get out.
And they have some pretty funny stories that they will share. Do you have anything, like, what is the weirdest thing that's happened to you as a driver? Or do you have any funny stories that, like, stand out?
There's several stories. And the thing is, I use this for example. Okay. I'm always telling everybody, be mindful of your speed. And always keeping your head on the swivel and looking left to right every 5 to 6 seconds. And one particular time, I don't think I did that. And I was coming down a hill, and it frightened me to the point I started to get out the truck and tap out. Because I didn't pay attention to, I didn't keep in mind that I need to, but I was that scared, you know what I mean? 'Cause that's an 80-ton truck. You know what I mean? So if I would use that, I would use that, you know what I mean? So you have to be consistent with what you're learning and what you're supposed to do in times of everything that you're going while you're driving up and down these highways and byways.
Right, can't go on autopilot.
Yes, you can't. Yeah, you know what I mean. There you go.
All right. Is there anybody that you would like to thank for your journey with Goodwill?
Well, it's a number of people, but I don't want to sound selfish. But I'm going to start off with, I would like to thank me for sticking this out. Else I would have been gave up on this. Because that's what I did, run a flight. If it didn't add, you know what I mean? If I wasn't comfortable, I would go. I stood through the uncomfortableness so I can get and change my life around. Regarding what I want to do and how do I want to live. You know, I've been in Texas since 2010. And I moved around a lot, Justin. 2 years here, a year there, you know what I mean? Like David Banner, the Incredible Hulk, you know, you just go from town to town, do all that kind of stuff. Yeah, I live like that. So, if anything, and the Creator, like thank God, you know, everybody who was influential in teaching me this trade and believing and seeing me in this light. Like I said, Miss Sonia, I brought Miss Sonia up. And once again, that sister saw something, I don't know what it was. We just, you know, just like ships passing like this. I like to thank those other instructors that helped me learn this trade. I think his name was Lee Campbell and George, and there was a Mr. I forget his name, but everybody who's been instrumental. The young lady even that I dated that was a truck driver that introduced me to this. Yeah, you know. Everybody that, you know, all my counterparts, all my people that I work with that help me be, you know what I mean, the best version of myself while I'm doing this. You know what I mean? These small interactions like this. You too as well, Just, you know what I mean? I'd like to thank you too, because, you know, you provided me an opportunity I just don't know. And I find it so rewarding and enriching that, you know what I mean? That's why I don't want to get this up. I can see myself being here. And, you know, I was so taken aback at the celebration for the luncheon to see somebody been here 35 years, 30 years, and it just kept ringing off. When he said 5 or 10 years, okay. But to see somebody here 35 years and be consistent, that's what I was looking for. That's why I say I belong here. That's why I enjoy this. And no matter what transpires outside of this, I'm still want to be an intricate part. Just like that woman judge who used to be on the board that still found a way to come back and contribute. Right. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Did you know about all of Goodwill's programs and services before you got here?
No, I didn't. No.
What was the extent of your knowledge about Goodwill before all this?
I didn't have any. All I had was knowledge of Salvation Army. Goodwill, no. I didn't know, you know, and I only knew Salvation Army because my grandmother used to take me to that and pick up stuff, you know what I mean, buy stuff.
Right.
But Goodwill, no, I didn't know it was this. But when I went to school, it broadened my horizon. Then it allowed me to see all the programs that you provided, all the opportunities you gave to people. Yeah. That's why I said I want to come back and pay, you know what I mean, contribute to it and pay it forward, you know what I mean? Once I did find out. Thank you, man. I really appreciate this, and thank you once again. You know, I wasn't expecting none of this, but, you know, I'm humble, I'm grateful for this, and yeah, Goodwill rock.
There we go.
There you go.
If you're interested in enrolling in our CDL program, you can visit northtexasinstitute.org today to get started and become Terry's next graduate. Thank you all once again for listening, and thank you to Terry for agreeing to be a part of this episode. We'll see you next time. You have been listening to GoodCast, a podcast produced by Goodwill North Central Texas. To stay up to date on all things Goodwill NCT, be sure to check out our social media and sign up for our newsletter. And if you have a second, we'd appreciate it if you could share the show with a friend or leave us a review on iTunes. It is the fastest way to help the show grow. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you find podcasts.